Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Phil. This is 3D Japan, and this is part 2 of the Positron 3D printer build. In part 1, I looked at what comes in the kit. Some of these are just some of the parts, and we looked at the parts that I had to 3D print, and then I started putting it together. In step 1, I put together the extruder. So now we're moving on, and I've done part 2 already off camera. And so let's take a quick look here. This is part 2. This is the part that will stand up in the back and move the build plate up and down. So we've got some aluminum extrusion and a linear rail and some other parts that I don't know exactly what they'll do yet. Um, but you can see some like pulleys here where the belts will go. And here's the extruder that we built in the first part. And yep, so we'll see how this works with the rest of it. One thing I did find out was that there was some of these parts that kind of shocked me, that you print them, but they don't actually get in the final printer. They just get thrown away at the end. They're just kind of used as kind of guides, so that you put it in there and then you can use that to tell where to put some screws, and then you take it away and you don't need it anymore. So yep, just like these two were mounted on either side here, and all they really did was prevent the sliding part here from sliding off the end while I put screws in. So those are now trash. Another weird thing was that they came with this thumb screw, and thumb screw going into the hole back here between the aluminum and the linear rail, and it seemed like it was really only there to help align the two parts while I put the screws in. And then it doesn't mention anything about the thumb screw at all so far. Maybe in the next part. Um, but yeah, I mean, if that was the only reason it's there, it seems kind of silly to use an entire thumb screw for that when you could just use like a plastic peg or something. So I'm going to see what's going on with this. It's probably not the only reason it's there. But yeah, that's it for what we got right here. So let's run the intro, and then I'll continue building the next steps of the printer, and hopefully we'll get most of it done in this video. Right, so I finished part 3 here, step 3. This is the motor, and you can see, of course, we've got a cable sticking out here, but then we've also got our first belt. And yep, so this part was not too difficult to put together, but yeah, there were a few tricky spots, just like when I was working on this big part that I just showed you. I did have to kind of grind away at some of the screw holes, just to make sure that things will actually fit in them properly. Um, this section here was a little bit tricky to put on. In fact, a couple of parts were a little snug to get them to fit together properly. So yeah, once I got them together, they fit quite well. This one was a little bit tricky to put on because of this thing here. There's so this guy just has some washers, and there was a screw sticking through to hold them in place, although they were just kind of sitting on it. So once you got the belt in, you had to get this thing on and then get the screw tightened without losing the washers. So it was pretty awkward to hold that in place while twisting the Allen wrench and pushing at the same time. Just a little bit tricky, but I got it done. And then we got the rest of the screws in there, and it's all done. So that part is finished. I thought it would be fun to do the next part on camera. And then I looked at the next part and realized it's actually very easy. So we've got this V-shaped thing here, and this is going to hold the build plate. And then I've got a few more screws and parts that'll go into it. So let's take a look at the instructions here. Okay, I've got those are the printed parts. They're just these two little yellow things. Okay, so the first thing we have to do, let's see, we need to assemble these parts. So it's basically the same thing twice. This will go in here, and then the screw goes on top. And it looks like there's actually nothing to hold it there just now. All right, that's not the screw. No. These standoffs go inside. Ah, I see. It's fit almost perfectly. So I may have to do a little sanding. It's very snug. Here we go. Okay, so that's in, and then the screw will go on top. And then the other one will do the same thing. Okay. Get that in. And then the spring, I meant to say, will go on top. Okay, it's the end of that part. Okay, next part of these, and the thumb screws will go on top. We'll do one at a time. It looks like these will just screw in. Okay. There we go. Okay, and then we'll just do the other one. The screw in the top and twist this on. Okay. And scroll through, and yep, that does seem to be complete. So that's the end of that step. All right. So then I will just go ahead and continue with the next step. So the next parts that I worked on were actually also very easy. So the first one was the controller, this touchscreen, and it has this lid that flips over so that it can be a stand. So the only weird thing about it is that once it closes, it doesn't really cover the whole thing, which is strange. Like, I guess it has to be like that, or else it wouldn't be able to uh, pass this corner. I just think it's a strange design. So this was really easy. I basically just had to drop the screen into this orange box, put the back on, and put some screws on either side, and then put some screws on for the flap. And that was it for this whole part. Next part was even easier. It was these spool holders. So they'll basically sit there like so, and you put a spool on it, and the spool rolls. I actually made a very similar spool holder a couple years ago for my Sunlu S8 because I didn't like the spool holder it originally came with. Let's see, I've got a spool here. Nice
Nice blue, silky blue. See how that sits on. All right, it's on there. Oop. And it's the problem that I had with the ones that I made before is kind of the same problem with this one has, is if it's not sitting right or if it gets bumped, it just kind of falls over. So it rolls. You have to get them angled just perfectly, but it rolls. So I don't know. One might come up with some other method. I've seen a few people put like a spool holder on the back of the Positron. Maybe that'll work. And finally, the last part that I built is this is the actual hot end. So here you can see we've got our heater in here, and there's the nozzle, and yeah, there's heat break. There's where the filament will go in, and I believe a fan will attach here. This was again very easy to assemble. I basically had this printed part that I had to put some screws in to keep it there. Had to screw a fan onto it, which was a problem at first because apparently I put the wrong fan on it. And then I had to take it apart and put the right fan on. Yeah, and then just screw the hot end assembly onto this metal frame. And that's pretty much it. So we'll figure out where these wires go in the next step. So the next step is step 8, and that's actually a really long one. There are over 100 parts to that, with all the screws and washers and gears and wires, and it'll be building the main base component, the main base of the printer, with all the electronics that go in it. So I think I will be doing that for our next video. Well, that's the end of part 2. We got a lot of it done, and you can see I've got only a couple of the printed parts left, but it has been so much fun putting this together. Now you start with a pile of parts, and it looks really daunting, but then the more and more you put together, the more fun you're having and the more cool it is. So it's just so fun to see something looking so cool coming out of this. So before we go, let me mention my awesome hoodie from geeksoutfit.com. If you want to get one of these or another cool geeky shirt, check out geeksoutfit.com. Use code PHIL25 to get 25% off. Okay, so in the next video, I've actually already started working on the base of the printer. And so for the next one, I should have that done, and then we'll have the final part and see how it turns out. Maybe you can print some stuff with it here, and then maybe, it's meant to be mobile, so maybe we can take it out and start printing somewhere else. And maybe I can even print from the car, who knows. So that's it. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and subscribing is free. And I've been looking at my analytics, and only 3.2% of people are subscribed. So that's 96.8% of you who are not subscribing. So here's this other statistic I noticed is I was looking here, and only 0.3% of my viewers are female. What's up with that? Wait, am I like not sexy enough for the female viewers? All right, whatever. Okay, see you guys next time.